Hello and welcome to a new series in our live labs. Today we want to cover a topic which we often get a lot of questions about, which is about the return on investment on marketing campaigns or different channels for recruiting and talent acquisition. My name is Thomas Wittig, and I'm going to walk you through the example today that we are going to work with. This is going to be a compact session, and first I will introduce the case study that we will work with, and then I will guide you through the use of the free tool that we are presenting here today. It's a free calculator to estimate the return on investment of your recruiting marketing campaign versus your other channels or practices or sources that you are using today. And I will recap with a few recommendations and guidance for recruiting strategy and optimization and suggested next steps. So the first thing is to talk about the case study. And I have, for today's session, I have chosen a topic which is very much top of mind, which is in the healthcare industry. It affects many countries, cities in Europe and other parts of the world. So first we will talk about some baseline data. I think it's important to understand what we are talking about in the typical job roles and the salary ranges so that we have a baseline for that. Then we will discuss the search focus. So what are we actually looking for in terms of potential candidates and hires that we want to attract. And then we will find some marketing data. So I will show you one way how to do that very easily. This is all with free tools, so you don't need to purchase anything. I think it's a very good way to inform your decisions about where to allocate resources and also how to allocate the resources so that you get the most out of your recruiting budgets. Then we will take a look at the calculator. We will walk through that. I will show you exactly how you can use it and how to calculate the return on investment. And then we can use that to compare to your other sources for talents and applications that you are looking for. So let's work through the example. And first, I will introduce the available data, and then I will also talk about some of the free tools. So I will share my screen so that you can actually follow along. If you want to use the recruiting marketing calculator, simply go to this URL, the website URL here. This is the address on our website. It's a free tool. You can find this in the tools section or also from the menu. Or you can simply scan the QR code that will take you directly to the calculator. I will point out a few other resources that you can take a look at. So when you scan the QR code or you go to the website, it will look something like this. So on the mobile phone, you get a mobile-friendly tool that you can use. There are sliders and input fields. We will get to that in a moment. And on the desktop or your personal computer or laptop, it will probably look something like this, or your tablet, for example. So it's a very easy to use tool. You can use the sliders. It has a magic button here. I will explain that in a moment. And the way you can use this free tool is very simple. Actually, I typically recommend first entering your own recruiting cost that you have today. I will show you where to do that. You can use the lower part of the calculator here to do that. So enter your first what you're paying today, then adjust the sliders with the data that you are about to find and discover. If you are not sure about the data, we will be very glad to review your scenarios with you. I will explain how that works in a moment. But then you can compare the cost here on the right side, so it gives you an idea about your recruiting funnel, what to expect, and also how your ROI and your savings would look like, how many annual hires you could make for the budget, and even what would your talent pool look like if you go down this route, and your talent audience. I should explain the difference. By talent pool, we basically mean candidates who have submitted applications, so you know who the candidates are, you have their contact information, their email address, their CVs, and the candidate audience are potential candidates who visit you on your website, your social media channels, or who sign up for your career newsletter. So these are in waiting position, so to speak, looking for interesting opportunities. And it's equally important to build up this audience as well. That's a whole new topic. We have some resources on that and blog posts on our website, and there's more to come in the next few episodes. Then if you want, you can also submit the scenarios if you press the button here, and that will basically submit the draft to us, and we can offer a free session to guide you through this and firm up some of the numbers if you're not so familiar with the data points or what it means. If it's realistic, it's always good to get a second opinion, and then we'll be happy to guide you through that. Okay, so the example that we are looking at today, I mentioned it before, it's about the healthcare medical professional industry, or the healthcare industry, and we're looking at job roles, for example, like registered nurses, and we're looking at major European cities, but similar mechanics basically apply also to other regions. Doesn't matter if you're in North or South America or Asia. Actually, we do advise various employers and enterprises around the world. So if you want, we can also take a look at your particular region and scenario. So in our situation, we're looking at job roles who have an annual average salary range of about 45,000 to 70,000 annual gross salary. And if we break that down a little bit by entry level, they're a little bit lower. So on the monthly basis, you would pay around 2,800 to 3,200. Experienced are a little bit higher. And for very specialized roles, they might actually go up to reach a salary range of 60 to 76,000 euros per year. For example, at an institution like the famous Charité in Berlin, which is a medical hospital, very well known, but that also applies to other areas. Doesn't matter if it's Berlin, London, Paris, Brussels, or so on. So what we typically find is, and you can actually find these data very easily right now using, for example, the Google AI. I will show you exactly what to look for in a moment. But typically what employers are paying is, for example, when you run an advertising on a job board, very typical price right now in Q1, Q2 2026 is around 1,200 per job listing, typically runs for a period of 4 weeks. And that's for one job role, and you get candidates through that. But you really do not own this candidate audience or pool. You basically run or activate the ad, and then you will see applications coming in. Another popular way of finding employees is engaging a recruitment agency. We are not a recruitment agency, so I want to say that right up front. But a recruitment agency typically charges between 2 to 3 monthly salaries for a fee, and they bring you the candidates. No? They do a lot of work for that. Typically, they reach out to potential candidates, they pre-select, they have an ongoing communication, but it also comes with a price tag. And for this particular role, we might be looking at somewhere between 8,000 to 13,000 per employee, per hire that they bring to you, right? So depending on the job role, that could be a little bit higher or lower. Depending on the volume contract that you have with the recruiting agency, that could be lower, but it comes with the price. And it's not only that, you also have to consider if you make a wrong hire decision, then you are basically also losing this investment that you paid for just this one role, this particular employee. So if you scan the QR code, if you go to the website, you would find something like this. So let's switch over to work through the example a little bit further. And I wanted to show you where you can find information. Before I go there, there is actually a more extensive blog post article on our website. So if you go to our insight section to the blog, you will find this blog, which talks in much detail about the approach, the calculator. The calculator is also embedded in the blog post, so you can see, you can play with that a little bit. There's a little background which to another page, which we're going to use in a moment, and some examples and explanations and so on. So back to our example, one thing that I like to use frequently is a tool called Google Trends. Google Trends basically gives you search trends or top trending topics based on the Google search property. So when you go to Google and search something, then you basically submit search queries, and Google has a wealth of data. So what I've done here is I prepared the time series data for 3 search queries, so search terms it's also called, and the search term nursing jobs in blue, jobs in nursing, and medical assistant jobs, for example. And you see there's quite a difference, no? And this is the time frame of the last, roughly the last 10 years, starting in January 2015 all the way to the end of Q2 2026. And these are web searches. I take here the United Kingdom because that's where you would typically find these job queries. So one thing that you can see already, if you were, let's say, running advertising and you were trying to attract people looking for medical assistant jobs, you would probably lose out because the search volume for nursing jobs is much higher. So you see that's roughly on a factor of 77 out of 100. No? So this is normalized to 100. Okay. So first observation is you would need to bet on the right search terms, of course. That's typically what we do in performance marketing. We do a very thorough research of what the search terms are, and then we bet on the exact search phrases that people are looking for, or the search intent. Even going much more granular, for example, if you want to advertise your jobs for people looking for nursing jobs in central London or in Brussels or Berlin, then that's what you should be looking for. However, this is kind of really interesting. I want to point out a couple of things. You will see always these spikes, no? And they all appear somewhere in January. No? So January 2020, 19, most recently here was a peak in 23. This is the peak in January 2026. So if you are running advertisement, this seems to be a month where there's a lot of demand for the search queries. Likewise, if you would advertise here in the December timeframe, the chances are that people are not really looking for jobs right now. No? So timing is of the essence. In talking about timing, we also have to take a look at how queries change over time and how the relative search volume is changing over time. So if we go down here a little bit, we find some information about the absolute amount here. So this is sorted by search interest. So that's where we see these are the top trending searches. But we also see other queries which show a change over time. So for example, nurse jobs near me, near my city, that's something we would definitely put in the marketing campaign. The other thing I wanted to point out, if you take a different country, so here we have search data for the United Kingdom, if we would go with this search, for example, in a country like Germany, we would look for different data. And here you see for similar job roles, you see a completely different pattern. So if you would have bet on this yellow line here, which is about medical professionals in some form or fashion, you would lose out on a lot of search intent and search traffic. So we would need to bet on this blue line. I'm not going to talk about that here in this session today. This will be subject of a session specifically for the German or German-speaking market, which is using these search terms, and that will be in a week out from now. So if you're interested in exploring that together, please join again next week, and then we will dive into this. This will also be a session in German language. But here you see also the trending topics, what's changing over time. And we see that there's more rising queries where people look jobs near their location, near their home, etc. So that's a new search trend that we have to keep in mind. So interim conclusion here is timing is of the essence. The selection of the search intent is important, and observing trending search demand, which is surfacing over time. Okay, so going to our tool, the first thing that we might want to add, so this is the tool and how it looks like, and you can use it as much as you want. It doesn't break anything. So and let's say, for example, we stay with this example and we have employed a recruiting agency which brings us 1 candidate per month. That would be 12 candidates per year. And we pay, let's say, let's put it up a little bit, like 5,000 euros per candidate. Pretty good deal. So it's not really on the high end, but that gives us something to work with. I also recommend that you put in here your numbers, what you have in terms of your talent pool. So how many potential candidates do you have waiting in line to be hired or be interviewed? No? And let's say you may have 0, or you may have, let's say, 10 people or something like that, or 20, just put it in here. If you have a talent audience, or you know your talent audience, put in the numbers here. So you might have, I don't know, maybe 100 or 200 people visiting your website on a day, on a month-to-month basis, and that's important to lock down here. Now, where do we get the other data from? That's where I think our AI friends are coming in quite handy. So here I simply used Google search, and my recommendation is to use the AI mode, and there you can simply query, for example, for the search query, nursing jobs in the UK Q1 2026, what are the average cost per click, for example. So Google advertising works on cost per click. So you only pay for the visitors who are coming, clicking on the advertisement, coming to your website, coming to your own job board that you might have on your website, for example. So what we see here is quite interesting. So we have an average cost per click between £1.86 to £3.50. If we want to be on the top of the page, that could be in the range of as low as 80 cents up to £4.50, or pennies, I should say, pence, or up to £8. So it really depends on where you want to bid and how high you want to bid, so to capture the search demand. But these are data that we can already work with. We simply put it in our tool, and let's say we start here, the monthly recruiting budget. So we could say, for example, we just take what we have invested so far in our direct recruiting, what we pay to the recruitment agency or the headhunter, and let's say we go here somewhere around €2.50 on the cost per click basis, which means everybody who clicks on the advertisement comes to the website, we are willing to pay €2.50 for this, no? And then here we can enter our data that we know about. So for example, here we can make an assumption of what the application rate is. So people who come to the website, you can actually see this here in the upper little chart here. So of those who come to the career page, how many applications do we get? So here we say 5%. And then we have a 30% qualification rate, which means that these are candidates or that we invite for an interview that we would consider. And then we hire 1 out of 4 candidates, for example. No? So either they accept the offer or we do extend the offer or not. And that basically gives us this funnel over here. So we have 2,000 candidates, 100 applications. And with this scenario, we generate 7.5 hires. So that's quite good. Now, this would represent a 650% return on investment compared to what I'm paying today. Okay, so here you find information about your cost per hire. With this scenario, we would pay about €667 per hire. That's significantly less than the €5,000 we have paid before. So we are saving 4.3 thousand per hire. And on an annual basis, we would save about €50,000. Now, we made it easy. We said we only want to hire one person, one employee. Now, in a large organization or enterprise or institution, we're not talking about onesie-twosies. We hire maybe 40, 50 people any given month to backfill roles, to support our growth, etc. Because we might also have a demographic change where people go into retirement or pursue new careers, go back to university. So we have a constant stream of people that we need to hire and candidates that we need to bring in. So again, in this scenario, we would be able to hire about 90 people with the same resource allocation here. That's quite a dramatic increase. And we would increase our talent pool by about 23 potential candidates per month. So that's quite dramatic. And we also generate audience. Now, the talent pool and the audience are all those candidates that we have not hired yet or who have not yet applied. And if we can leverage this this pool, that means that we have a constant feeding pool of people that we can reactivate, for example, with retargeting campaigns, with engagement campaigns, and so on. New topic, and I will explain that in upcoming sessions if there is interest. Now, the interesting thing here, there's this magic button down here. So if you click that button, it will take the data and pre-populate a form for you. So you don't have to kind of copy-paste everything. It's very easy. And the form is going through 3 steps. So first, the scenario data for you to check. Then next step is the benchmark data. And if you're fine with that, you basically submit it, and request a free session, a free review, and we'll be happy to validate the data with you and tell you about opportunities and how to reach more candidates and so on. So that's a quick example, very concrete example and walkthrough. So back to our story here. So that was one demo. Now I do realize there are many different job roles and situations which differ from organization to organization. So this tool is fairly flexible to cope with that. If you have special requirements, just reach out to us. So to reach kind of some conclusions here, my recommendation at this point in time and guidance for your recruiting strategy and optimizing your talent pipeline and your recruiting flow is to first take a look at, start estimating how is our current practice of sourcing of talent acquisition, how is it doing? How is it comparing to other means, specifically to recruitment marketing? Yeah. Second step is I would highly recommend to start owning and building your talent pool and your candidate audience. This is something, it's an important resource for your recruiting strategy and your capabilities, especially when you are facing a volatile scenario where you, for example, have demands for recruiting going up and down over time. So it's very important, and this will give you some resilience in your recruiting capabilities. I would highly recommend using the data insights that you get from these tools and from your new hiring processes, your campaigns. There's a ton of data, and you will learn also what the candidates responding to, what they prefer, how they engage, how long they engage. In a fast-moving market, we just saw this in the medical market. January is the month where people looking for jobs. This seems to be a fast-moving month, so you have to keep that in mind and adjust your hiring process. I should say, before I come back to this picture here, I should say there is another insight. I'm not sure if we talked about this already on the blog post, but it's a forthcoming article which talks about the swings in demand and also the dynamics of recruiting. So this is a new series that we are working on right now. So please check back here if you want. It's an interesting insights article that will come along very shortly. Overall, I would recommend to de-risk your recruiting. So take the risk out of it, make it more predictable, and also build resilience in your talent pipeline, in your so-called supply chain of talents and professionals that you want to engage. Now, as I mentioned, this series comes with a free session. So if you want to take advantage of that, make sure to scan the QR code, submit your scenarios for review. By the way, if you're not happy with your scenario, you can go back to the calculator and submit a new one. But take advantage of that. It's free. See, 3 simple steps. Visit the calculator, fill it out, submit this scenario, and then we will reach out to you and offer a review session. So this content was brought to you by WITTIGONIA Digital. Here's how you can reach us, the website and also our email address. And I'm looking forward to hearing from you and also answering some of the questions now.